All right, so I'm going to show you guys another composition because I think that it's really helpful to watch somebody else's workflow. It has always helped me, and I'm going to be using the grid builder to do this, which I'll show you, but you don't have to use that, and you also don't have to use an iPad. You can use a paper and a pencil and a ruler, or you can draw your own shapes on an iPad. Doesn't matter. The point is we're going to be focusing on composition. So I have a quote that I'm going to be using to accent some keywords that were said in a blog article. And it's my own, but it's creativity changed everything in one night, and it's got me where I am today. And the reason why I want to show you guys this one is because it's a long quote, and anytime that I do a long quote, that's when you get really kind of hung up on placement, because it's like, gosh, well, this could all be one size, multiple lines, or we could get a little more creative and kind of accentuate specific words. So going into my grid builder brushes, you can see that there are lots to choose from. While I certainly could, just sketch out my own, I like to use these because it lets me cheat, and anything that I can use to have some time saving, I'm all about. So what I want to do first though is go to I have so many brush sets here. Sketching. There we go. Because I like to use the pencil tool, and I'm just going to grab a lighter-ish bright color so that I can just write out this phrase so that I can figure out how I want it to lay out. So creativity is a word that I do want to draw attention to. And so I'm going to write out just real quickly, creativity, all the words that I want first to be standing out, and then I'll fill in the rest. So I could say creativity as the main one, changed everything. I could make that larger. I might figure that out in a minute when I see how everything else looks, because I like changed everything as maybe a focus too. In one night, and it's got me where I am today. So where I am today is what I want to focus on. And I will probably break this up into 2 lines. Yeah. So creativity changed everything, and it got me where I am today. So it's not a huge mouthful, but it's a long enough quote to where I want to kind of focus on what I want to focus on. I think I will do changed everything, because if I make this part smaller, you'll see that then it will be small with this, and then it's just boom, large here, large here. So that's why I wanted to say, like, to really identify what it was that I liked to stand out. So creativity, I will make a little bit smaller. I might actually put that inside of like a banner. So I'm just gonna I like the sketching tool a lot on Procreate, because if you use the side of your Apple Pencil, it does it as if it's actually the side of a pencil. Okay, so changed everything, stack that. I think I will stack it. So I'll move this one up, maybe make it a little bit smaller, but it's still accentuated with the banner that I'm gonna use. Changed everything. It's okay if it's overlapping. This is just my draft so I can get a visual. Yeah, I like that better. Now I'm gonna shrink it a little bit because I want the edges to be nice and spaced. I don't want it to be like right at the edge. And now I'm going to build it. So the first thing I'm going to do is go and change the opacity. Like if you're using a pencil or something on paper, that should be perfect, but I'm going to drag this down so that I can just use it as like, okay, this is my base. Where am I going to place things? And now I'm going to add a new layer, because the new layer is where I'm going to start building my grid. So I'm going to go to Grid Builder, and you guys, I have this linked so that you can quickly access it if you want to grab this pack too. I super recommend it. It has saved me so much time on my lettering, and I'm all about workarounds to make things a lot more seamless. Okay, so changed everything. I'm going to want that to be a big focus. I might do maybe something like this. So I'm going to change the color as well, and that's going to help me differentiate where things are, like that. Whoops. And then I'll move that about where I want it. I'm actually going to drag this down. That's the nice thing about the grid builder, is that you're able to change the main structures there, but then you can change the size to your liking. Very, very helpful. And then I might actually use this same one for the bottom. So I can find that because they are, I believe there are, yeah, see there's the other one. But because I already have this one spaced out the way that I wanted, I've stretched it. I'm actually just gonna duplicate it and then flip it. So to do that, I'll show you again if you're using an iPad. So I'm gonna swipe to the left on that layer, say duplicate, and then the new layer, I'm gonna select it with this arrow tool, flip it vertically, and then drag it down right here. And then you'll notice too these little hatches or whatever, that's gonna help you keep it centered, which is really nice. Okay, and now lastly, another cool thing about the grid builder is that it has these banners. So if you don't know how to draw a banner well, or you just want that shape in there, you can always use this. That's really big. You can always use this as a guide to put that in. I think I will use that, but I think what I want to do is actually move this down a little bit there. So see how the grid builder is just kind of helping you place everything, and then I'm not going to do any shape for "and it got me" because I can just write that, or letter that in however I want to, and then I can also decide if I want to actually add a shape in, I can. But I'm going to merge those two layers together so that all of my grids are on one layer. I might actually shrink this even more so that I can have all those edges be in the clear. I like to leave like, a finger width. I don't know how big you're working. Enough on the edges so that it's not coming off the bottom. And I'll move this up because I actually also want to be able to write my name underneath since it's a quote. And then now I'm going to turn the opacity down on this one as well. So if you missed it in the first time I said it, you're going to go to this N right here on the layer and then drag the opacity down. So now it's just my guide. I could turn this off if I know what the quote is, like if I have it written down, but I actually like to keep it on so that I know how I've structured my words and where to put them. So I'm just having it really, really light. Now I'm going to create a new layer on top of that one, and I'm going to start actually drawing my letters. So I'm going to choose a new color, and then I'm going to go back to my sketching tool. It's just that HB pencil that the iPad comes with. So the first word I'm doing is creativity. I think that I'm going to do this in like a modern calligraphy way, and then I'm going to say changed everything in a sans serif, maybe a serif font. We'll see. So one of the things to think about, especially if you're doing block letters, which I'm not on this first one, but I want to break it down, is to think about how many letters are in that word. So it will help you with your spacing. Because if I was to write, creativity, and then it stops right here, then there's all this space that I didn't think about. So creativity has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that means that in the middle of 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's I and V. So I and V will be my middle. That will be something that I would want to draw out first and then fill everything else in. But since this part is just the modern calligraphy and it's not going to reach the full way because I'm actually going to draw a physical banner, I'm just going to do, see how that's too large? That's why it's really helpful to know what should be in the center. So I'm going to put this in here and then I'll show you how I build. It doesn't have to be perfect either. This is just your rough. Okay, creativity. And then changed everything. This is where I do want to pay attention to keeping the base along this line and then keeping the base along this line. So like the top, all the letters should follow this guide, and same for the bottom. So if it's easier to write it out first and then start drawing it on a separate layer, do that. I'll do that just to kind of show you. Changed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters. That makes it easy because when it's an odd number, it has an actual center letter instead of being 2. Like 10, it was, what was it? Oh, maybe it was T and I, not I and V. Yeah, because that's 5. Okay, so that was T and I, whereas changed 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. So see how N is the middle. So I'm going to just put this N in here first. And see how I have made it so that it touches the base, it touches the top here, and I'm going to do my G, make sure it is along those lines. I might actually make it wider because it looks like I've got room to. And my E, again, these are just drafts, so I'm just making sure that I am hitting all those points, and I'll make it look pretty later. Change. And it might feel really weird to do these angles, but as if you just mind the guides, it won't be as frustrating. So another thing that I want to talk about is, see how this middle line here, I've gone all the way to the bottom and I've touched it. So what I don't want to do is the next word have it also go all the way to the top, because then I don't have a space in between these. So what I do is I just leave, you know, about this much space. I just kind of visualize that as I go. If it helps you to draw that as a guide, you can also go back to your guides and then just draw that line in. But yeah, I just eyeball it. So everything E-V-E-R-Y, that's 5, and then thing is 5, so it's Y and T in the middle. Also, they're not going to be this large because there's more letters. So you might have to do this a couple of times, but I am just going to see how this works. Make sure you leave that space. Okay, so that's about right. And then E, so see how I don't want to go out like that. I actually want to come down at that angle. Doesn't have to be perfect during your draft. Another thing to think about, I just want to point out that just then I went at an angle because I was going off this base. You don't want to do that. You actually want to keep on that vertical and then go down, because that's going to create the actual warp, which is what you're going for. So changed everything, and I'll perfect that later. And then before I say, and it got me, I'm just going to say, you know, do the where I am today. So I'm going to come all the way. I might not use this whole thing. I might actually stop right about here. 1, 2, 3, maybe 1 out. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm going to do my W, H, E, and then it's going to start to go down. This might be too far. No, it's good. Where I, and then am today. I'm kind of just eyeballing this, but if it helps you to do that trick with counting the letters, I do recommend doing that. Okay, so now that is in there, and it got me. I'll probably do that in calligraphy, and it got me, and then I'll just center that better. Don't worry, it's gonna look prettier. Okay. So if you want to check that, I'm going to turn off my layer that actually shows me what the letters are or what the words are, and then I'm going to turn off my grid. So now I can see what this looks like. You might actually want to draw in, if you do any banners, you might want to draw them in so that you can actually see what that will look like, because it's going to look kind of funky if they're not in there. I'm just doing them loosely and terribly, but yeah. Okay, so that is what this is going to end up looking like, and I think that that is fun. I might actually put this part on the bottom. Yeah, I like that better. It just fills in that gap, because if it was on the top, then there would be this weird empty space, and it got me. Okay, so see, this is where I want to point out, because it's not stretched the whole way, the where I am today looks real bad. So I'm actually going to do that differently, because I don't want to stretch it the whole way. So I'm going to do a different grid for that part. So I'm going to create a new layer just underneath there, change the color, and then go back to my grid builder and see what might work better for those words. So you can see, like, there's some perspective ones where it starts small and gets large, or vice versa. Cylinder, I don't want to end that way. Where I am today, what do I want to do with that? How about this one? So this is like that arch. I'm going to make that smaller, and then I'm going to flip it so that it is upward like this. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, and then go back into that color that I was using. Let's see, where is it? That's good enough. Okay, and then it got me, oops, I gotta go back to my sketching brush, where I am today. Okay, so let's see how that ended up working. I'm gonna get rid of these, any area that was excess that came off the base. This is me cheating. Okay, so that is better, but I might actually stretch this out or push it so that it's more on the edge. Yeah, there we go. And then I can just add little ornamental doodahs, sorry, yeah, accents when I'm ready to do final touches, and that will make it look a lot better. Okay, so that looks good to me. So what I'm going to do is now decrease the opacity on this one, and now is where I start to apply my final layer. And so I can choose any color because I can always change it later. I'm just going to choose something that's going to stand out to me, and then I want to choose what brush I'm going to use to actually do the lettering part. So I'm going to use a couple different ones because I'm going to do, actually I think I might actually, this is my brain. I think I will actually do the same brush because I think I want to do this lettering that's like that calligraphy style in a monoline, and then I can use the monoline to make block letters. So you have the option to use your sketching brush again to create these block letters, or you can go right into it and form them as you go, which isn't the best for a final piece, but if you're impatient like I am, it is an option. So that's what I'm going to do. This is actually my monoline brush, and I have it available for free on my website at thepigeonletters.com if you want to snag it.